Hello everyone and welcome back to DevPortal, your go-to channel for mastering tech concept. In our previous video, we understood what Linux is, why every developer should know about it, and how it is different from Windows system. In our today's video, we are going to discuss two important topics, which is Linux distribution, what they are and why there are so many of them, and second, the Linux file system structure, what those strange looking folders like etc, usr and where actually means. So let's get started. You might have heard the names like Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, and thought that why there are so many Linux systems present in the world. Well, Linux itself, as I told you in my previous tutorial, it is the kernel, the core part that interact with the hardware. But to make it usable for the people and developers, different organizations and communities combine that kernel with different tools, package managers, and user interface. That full bundle itself is called Linux distribution. If I give you an example, suppose imagine that Linux kernel is the engine of the car. Now we know there are different companies which will build their own model on top of that engine. So some will focus on the comfort, some on the performance, and some will focus on the stability. That's exactly how Linux distribution work. Now let's talk some of the most popular distributions which developer used. First is Ubuntu, probably the most beginner friendly and widely used distribution. It is based on Debian and it is great for both desktop and server environment. Second is Debian, one of the oldest and most stable distribution. Many other distributions like Ubuntu is built on top of it. And if you're looking for rock solid stability and open source priority, then this distribution is for you. Then we have CentOS, or you can say ROCKY Linux. CentOS is used to be a free community version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, that is known as RHEL, but after its discontinuation, ROCKY Linux has took that place. And these are preferred in enterprise and production server, where long-term support and stability matter most compared to the features. Then we have Fedora. Fedora is like the testing ground for the Red Hat technologies. If you want to experiment with the new packages, features, and latest softwares, then Fedora is for you. So in short, Ubuntu is beginner friendly and popular, whereas Debian will provide us the stability and purity. If we talk about CentOS or Rocky Linux, then it will provide us the enterprise level stability, whereas Fedora is developer friendly in nature. So now that we know what distributions are, now let's look at what makes them similar in nature, that is Linux file system structure. When we open Linux terminal and type ls command, and we can see folders like bin, etc, home, and many others as you can see in this screen. Unlike Windows, where we have drivers like C drive, D drive, and so on, Linux uses a single root directory, as I told in my previous tutorial, that there will be a single directory, that is slash, which is known as root. Everything, our file, program, and even hardware devices information will be present under this directory. So now let's discuss most of the important directories one by one. First is home directory. This is where user directories are stored. Each user get their own folder like /home/nakul. Similar to that we have in Windows C:user:username. So our personal files, download, config files, everything will be present under this directory. And let's say if you have multiple users created, then there will be multiple directories present under this home directory, like /home/nakul, /home/dev, /home/dev portal, like that. Then we have etc directory. This folder contains all the system configuration files information. Think of it like a control panel we have in our Windows system. For example, network setting, service configuration, application parameter, all these information will be present under this folder. Next, we have bin and sbin folder. These directories contain the essential binary executables, basically the commands and the programs. If we talk about /bin folder, or we can say the directory in Linux, then it will contain regular commands like ls, cp, and mv, whereas sbin will contain the commands like reboot, ifconfig, etc. Then we have usr folder. This stands for Unix System Resources, where most of the user level information and libraries information will be present under this folder. If we install any new software, then it will often present under usr/bin or usr/lib directory. you can see. Next, we have var folder. As its name suggests, it stores the information which will continuously, or we can say frequently, change, like logs, cache, and temporary file. So for example, if you want to see the system logs, then it will be present under /var/log folder. And our system, let's say if it is running low of memory, then this is the first place where we need to come and check the issue, because it will contain the information of system logs. Next, we have boot folder. This directory contains all the files which is required to boot up our Linux system, including the kernel itself. So this is very important folder, as it will contain the bootloader config files. Next, we have dev and proc folder. These are special folders which will not contain the normal files. If we talk about /dev, then this will contain the file which will represent the hardware devices, like our hard drives, USB, etc. And if we talk about proc folder, then this will contain runtime system information, like memory usage and CPU details. So to summarize, Linux distribution may look different, like Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS we have, but they all share the same file system structure. And if we know this structure, it will help us to navigate Linux confidently and troubleshoot like a pro. So that's it for today's video on DevPortal. Now we understand what Linux distributions are, now how the file system in Linux is organized. In our next video, we will start exploring basic Linux command that every developer should know. From navigating to directories to managing files and permission, we are going to see. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your fellow developers, and I will see you in my next video.